What's up guys, my name is Timbo, and over the past few days I've been getting a lot of comments and messages of people asking me who I think will be the next Hunter Vanguard. And over this period of time I've had multiple video ideas and have just been going back and forth on which one to put out first. So I figured we'd go with this one. And since this video kind of spawned out of nowhere, I want to preface that this may seem like a bit of a rant, simply because there won't be much video cuts or music or anything like that in it, which is what I typically do with my content. The reason for that is mainly just because I've got a lot of other videos I'm trying to get out to you guys that are going to require a lot of video editing. You know, I'm really busy this week, so this video is kind of thrown out there as it is. For many YouTubers, this structure is the standard, so you guys probably won't think any differently, but this isn't how I normally do things, so it feels kind of weird. Whatever. Anyway though, Hunter Vanguard. It's no secret at this point that Cayde is dead. I am sorry to say. Many people out there think that he will return in some way, shape, or form of a Cayde 7. I hate to break it to you guys, but in an interview, Bungie said themselves that Cayde is dead. Dead and gone. Dead and gone. Dead and gone. It's a long time since I heard that song. I told you guys this would be a rant. And even if you think Bungie's lying, and Cayde will die as Cayde 6, and miraculously return as Cayde 7, that's just not how it works when an EXO dies. I know it may seem that way, cause that's how numbers work. But it's just not the case. And even if you're somehow still not convinced, I don't see anything wrong with taking a peek at the potential candidates to replace him in Forsaken and beyond. Before we get into all of the candidates, I think it's important to talk a little bit about the significance of this decision. Not only is this a big deal because Cayde is like the only character people like in this game, but it's also a difficult decision within the universe itself. Hunters don't work like Titans or Warlocks, okay? They make things a little bit more difficult. Hunters, by their very definition, like to do things their own way. They don't like to get held down by the man, you know, they would much rather rebelliously fight and die by their own rules. With this being said, you can imagine it's hard to get a hunter to take the position of a Vanguard Mentor. You're not able to explore anymore, the thing all hunters were made to do. To combat this and get hunters to become a Vanguard Mentor, what is known as the Vanguard Dare was created. While we know very little about what the Dare is and how it works, we do seem to know this much. It looks to be a personal challenge of sorts one hunter must go through. Hunters enjoy gambling, so taking a dare, rather than casting a traditional vote, is a much better way to get them into a Vanguard position. We are aware that Cayde 6 took the dare with the Vanguard Mentor before him, Brask. The details of what went down there specifically are unknown. We don't know if the dare is just like a bet where the loser has to be the next Hunter Vanguard. We don't know if the person who took the dare takes over when the previous mentor dies. Long story short, getting the next Hunter Vanguard is much more difficult than it would be for a Titan or a Warlock. But brushing that aside, what we can do now at the very least is look at who could potentially replace Cayde, seeing as now he is marked for death. So without further ado, let's take a look at those qualified to become Cayde's replacement. To get it started, there are a few requirements that must be addressed. This person must be a hunter, and they must be a guardian. Pretty self-explanatory, but let's be real, this is the internet. So I'm sorry, but even though this is the best thing I've ever seen, no, the chicken is technically not qualified to replace Cayde. Taking a look at the real candidates we have are Lady Efrideet, Ana Bray, Eris Morn, and Shiro 4. I understand that people in the comments might think of someone else who can fit the position, but in my opinion, these listed here are the most likely by a country mile. So let's talk about each and every one of them. Starting at the top of the list is Lady Efrideet. Looking at her from a general perspective, she seems to fit the bill. She's a hunter, she doesn't really have any sort of vice with the Vanguard, and she doesn't really seem to be doing too much at the moment as Lord Saladin has now taken over being the vendor for the Iron Banana in Destiny 2. She's also skilled enough for the job. Legend speaks of her incredible talent with a long rifle, going as far as saying she's never even missed a shot, which does sound impressive to me until you consider Final Round. However, there is one issue that goes along with Lady Efrideet, and it's kind of a deal breaker. And when I say kind of, I mean it is. Nowadays she is part of a pacifist group all the way out past Pluto. Yeah, this is a real thing. Efrideet and the group she's with believes that it's possible to serve the light in a non-violent pacifist way. She had returned for a short time and left this way of life at the time of the Red Legion's invasion, but when the light returned to the Traveler, she went back out to the edge of our solar system. This creates a lot of problems. It seems to be pretty hard to locate her at this time, and even if she were able to be found, it seems unlikely that she would want to partake in the dare. After Efrideet on our list is a pretty recent and familiar face, Ana Bray. Now Ana, much like Efrideet, has her upsides and her downsides. She meets all of the criteria, of course, being known as an outstanding gunslinger and being very intelligent. However, Ana has more bad than good when it comes to applying to such a position. For one thing, she isn't exactly a great friend to the Vanguard. As seen in the Warmind campaign as well as in plenty of other places, Ana seems to go against the Vanguard's authority and act more as a loose cannon, doing her own thing. To add on to that, Ana kind of has prior commitments to attend to. With everything that has happened recently, she now serves as the voice for Rasputin. She could leave that post technically, but that wouldn't make any sense. Rasputin doesn't really like the Vanguard and won't speak to them directly. Ana is the only medium they have to talk with the Warmind. If Ana were to just leave, which I doubt her or the Vanguard would really want her to do, she could potentially be cutting the only link the Vanguard has to Rasputin. Not to mention we don't even know if Ana has met Cayde and would be able to take the dare. Next up is Eris Morn, our good old friend. I feel like a lot of people out there don't really know that Eris is a hunter, but she is. She's just a little green creepy bleedy face hunter. Now I know my last video was all about Eris, where she may be and what she might be up to, but disregarding all of that information for a second, let's go with this route and see if Eris could potentially replace Cayde. First of all, you'd have to find her, which could prove being pretty difficult. Currently she's off somewhere looking to destroy the Hive for good, and this proves to be a problem if we'd like to have her replace Cayde as part of the Vanguard. The bottom line is that she's busy doing her own thing. Much like Osiris was with the Vex, Eris is with the Hive. Completely obsessed. Even though she too could technically be a good fit, I highly doubt this is a position she would even want to take. She could keep her rock on the map, that is a positive, but I still find it unlikely. And last but certainly not least is Shiro 4. Now Shiro is an interesting one indeed. Not only is he a guardian and a hunter, unlike so many others on this list, he has no previous commitments. He's not out fighting the Hive or speaking to a Warmind or part of a pacifist group. For all we know, he's just chilling, waiting for something to do. Also, he to our understanding has a good reputation with the Vanguard. He has done nothing really but serve them. He hasn't gone against them, he hasn't lied to them, nothing like that to put an X through his name. So on paper, out of all of these we've seen, it looks like Shiro is the best and most obvious candidate for the job. Does this mean he will be the one to replace Cayde when everything goes down in Forsaken? There is no way of knowing at this point, but out of the Destiny characters that make sense, Shiro is the best of the bunch. However, just because he is the best, doesn't mean he is perfect. There are some potentially very big problems that could stem from this move. The big issue here really doesn't have anything to do with Shiro as a character. It's all about who he has to replace. Cayde is the best character Destiny has. He's really one of the few actual characters Destiny has. He's witty and likable and charming. I don't disagree with killing him off, but as I said in my other video on Cayde's death, this has got to be done right. They have to know how important Cayde is to so many Destiny fans and kill him off in a respectful, satisfying way. If they just kill him uneventfully or kill him and never mention him for the rest of the story, people will be very disappointed. Whoever is sought to replace Cayde has just as big of a role. They need to be able to fill those shoes while still being their own character. Shiro, as of right now, is kind of exactly what you don't want in terms of the persona to replace a character like Cayde. He's an exo, he has a catchy 5-letter name with a number at the end of it, he has many of the same character traits that Cayde has, but he's slightly worse at all of them. He's a little less funny, he's a little less likable version of Cayde. He's a discount refurbished Cayde found at your local Goodwill. And I think it is crucial that they do something with his character to change that. Put him in the campaign, make him feel the severity of such a task, mourning over a lost friend, and ask to take his place and fill his shoes. Once again, as I said before with other aspects of Forsaken's narrative, this has tons of potential to see a type of character story that we have never come close to seeing in this game. I'm happy that Bungie is taking risks here, and I hope they deliver on them. But I'm also really nervous about it, because this is either going to go incredibly well, or be a complete disaster. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground when it comes to these things. For the time being, there is no way of knowing where Bungie is going to go with all of this. All we can do is patiently wait and see. So guys, those are my thoughts on who I think will replace Cayde in Forsaken. In the comments below, make sure to let me know who you think will be stepping in his shoes, and if Bungie will be able to make him or her a satisfying successor. If you enjoyed the video, if you could please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. 100K is getting really close. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.